All right, well, we'll get started. We're going to look at parallelograms again today. And I hope everybody had a chance to watch that video from Monday. I apologize, I had to run, um, but we had some babysitter issues. But here we are. So we'll review a little bit. My computer's a little slow today, so I apologize for that. But again, we're going to use the area that I talked about in that video to find the formula, to find the area of the parallelogram. And I'll go back over that formula just in case you haven't seen the video yet. But just to review, a parallelogram is a type of quadrilateral that has two pairs of parallel sides. So here are pictures of two parallelograms here. And you notice, see the side, I think that's 5. This is 5. These sides are parallel, meaning they go in the same direction. And if you were to extend those lines out into forever, they would never touch. So you see these 4.24, these two lines here, they're also parallel. And parallelograms have 4 sides. And if you recall, we talked about the opposite angles. So you see the angle here is 135 degrees, and this angle is 135 degrees. So the opposite angles are the same. Now, I talked about in the video on Monday, when finding the area of a parallelogram, we need to find 2 things, the base and the height. So first, the base is any side of the parallelogram that you choose. So you could choose, like for instance, in this one, you see base 1 down here. So the bottom base, let me draw a circle around that. So in this example, they chose the base to be this side here. So the base can be any side that you choose. A lot of times it's easier if you choose one that's horizontal. That way, when we go to find the height, which I'll show you in just a second, it's a little easier to deal with. See, on this second example, they chose the base here instead of this bottom line, and it's a little more confusing. So if you can, always try to choose the bottom one that's horizontal. So let's go to the next one. So I said the 2 things that you need to find in order to get the area of a parallelogram is the base and the height. This is the height. So like we talked about, in this example, they found the base here. So how we find the height? We draw a line that's perpendicular from the base up to the opposite side of the parallelogram. So it's going to be the shortest distance from the base of the shape to the opposite side. And in this case, there are different ways to draw the height, but it's always going to be perpendicular from the base up to the opposite side. So for instance, here you see it looks like it's going outside the parallelogram, but it's still the same concept. It's perpendicular to the base, and it goes straight up to the opposite side of the parallelogram. So I'm going to show you an example to kind of illustrate how that's done. Give it just a second to pop up here. Can everybody see that green shape?
Do you see that green shape? Yes.
Okay, good deal. So in this one, the base, we're going to use the base here at the bottom, this bottom line here. All right. So to find the height, we're going to draw a perpendicular line from that base all the way up to the opposite side. See how we did that? Let's do it again. So we're going to pick this side, and remember, you can pick any side of the parallelogram you want to be the base, just as long as you draw a line from it perpendicular to the opposite side. But we're going to pick this one on the bottom. And then we're going to draw a perpendicular line to the opposite side. And that's how we get the height. So let's go back to our presentation. So let's see if we can find the area of a few parallelograms. All right. Can everybody see that? Back to our original presentation.
Okay, done, yes.
Yes, you.
All right, good deal. So let's look at this parallelogram A. So can anybody tell me what the base would be for this one? I'll circle it just so we're positive which one we're looking at. All right, and that one. Can you tell me what the base would be? What they're using as the base?
Which is the base?
Oh, that one.
No, on A.
That's it. You're right.
Is it at the bottom?
Yes.
Is it the 10 or the
10.
6?
10.
10, that's
It's
right.
10.
So they're using the 10 as the base. I'm going to circle it in green. So then if 10 is the base, what would be the height?
Check it out.
You can tell him.
Put down there.
Tell him.
Yes.
Would it be the 6?
You.
Is it the 6?
Yes. You tell me on that one.
Okay. So if you watched the video, then you saw that nice, nifty, easy formula that we have to find the area of a parallelogram. So for instance, let's look at parallelogram D. So if you recall, when we had a parallelogram like this in the past, we had to cut it and then rearrange it and then count the squares inside the new shape that we formed. But now, with this new nifty formula, and I will write it on here as legibly as possible, all we have to do is find the base and the height, and then we can multiply. So that formula is base times height. So base times height is how we find the area of a parallelogram instead of having to count all of those squares. So if we were going to find the area to A here, and we know the base is 10 and the height is 6, what would our area be? So if it's base times height, we've got what? 10 times our height, which is what? 6. So Linus, can you tell me what 10 times 6 is?
8.
Okay, tell him again.
60.
60. That is correct. Nice job. All right, let's do one more. We'll do B here. Let me circle it. Actually, let me erase all this other stuff so it doesn't get confusing. All right. So we're going to do B. All right, now remember, you can choose any side of the parallelogram you want to be the base. So in this instance, they've chosen this side here. So the base is 15. So if this side is the base, can you tell me what the height would be? Anybody?
15. I said, you.
Yeah, the base is 15.
Thanks.
Which one is the
And
height?
then 8.
No. Yes.
8, that's right. So remember, once we find the base, to get the height, we draw a perpendicular line, which you see right here, from the base to the opposite side, and then that gives us our height. So now we know our base and we know the height. So can you tell me the area?
Yeah.
Okay, what is the area? What is this?
20.
We've got the base, which is 15,
What is 20?
times
6 kilo.
the height, which is 8.
What?
Whoop,
What's 20?
120.
120.
120. I'm going to have to get my calculator out. 120, that is correct. Nice job.
Good job.
Okay,
Pretty low.
so let's do one that's a little different. Okay, we're going to have to do some extra work on this one. We're going to do D. So let me get all of this off of here. All right, so we'll do D down here. So we don't have numbers on this one. They haven't chosen the height or the base or shown us the height on this one. So we're going to have to find those on our own. So how do we do that? Let's pick a side for the base. Which side do you want to pick, Linus? You want to pick this line, this line, this line, or
Which
this
side do
line?
you want to pick as the base?
Base? I don't know. What?
You want to pick the top, the bottom, or one of the sides?
Oh. Bottom?
Bottom. Okay, we'll pick this one right here. So in this example, how do we find the base? We're going to have to count these squares. So let's count those. 1, 2,
1, 2,
3,
3, 4,
4, 5,
6,
6,
7, 8.
and 7. So we've got 7 here.
7. Sorry. My bad.
That's okay. So we've got 7 there. All right, so we know the base. Now what do we do next?
Now, how do you find the height? Do you remember?
Height?
Yeah,
7.
we know our base here, so what do? We draw a perpendicular line from the base all the way to the opposite side. Okay? You see how we did that?
You say yes.
Yes.
All right, so now we know we drew our line. Let's count these squares again.
1,
2,
2, 3,
3,
4,
4,
5.
and 5. So we know that our height
Oh.
is 5.
It's 25. 25.
So now that we know our base and our height, how do we find the area? Remember our formula over here?
Do you multiply?
Yes, I saw that.
So we multiply our base, which is 7, times our height, which is 5.
Yes.
Can you tell me what that is?
But it's 35.
Okay, tell me again.
35.
35.
I said
35.
it. Ooh.
Okay. All right, I think we have somebody coming in. Yes. I think we had somebody trying to join us.
It's just me, Miss Newbart.
Oh, okay. My computer's really slow today, so it's... All right, well, let's move on to the next slide here. So I want you all to help me find the area of this parallelogram, okay? I'm going to change our screen here. Okay, can everybody see that new blue shape?
Yes.
All right. So who wants to tell me the base? Which side? We're going to pick this side here as our base on the bottom.
Yes.
How do we know that they picked that side as their base?
if you pick that as your base. So because of that at the bottom.
Yeah.
We know that because they drew a perpendicular line to the opposite side from this.
Ooh.
So if this is our base, what is our base? How big is the base here? What's that unit number?
Minus.
Yeah. Oh, 8.
8, that's right. So if we know this side is our base, like we said, we draw a perpendicular line to the opposite side, and that gives us our height. What is our height here?
Okay, but no, what's the height?
8. So 8.
No.
The 8 was our base.
Height. Oh, 7 2.
7.
Point
It's 7.
7.
Right. So now that we know our base, which is 8, and our height, which is 7, how do we find the area? Do you remember our formula?
Area.
What was our formula that we used?
It's a
Do you remember?
8 times 7.
Okay, now tell him.
8 times 7 is 56.
That's right. 8 times 7 is 56. So our base times our height. So our base is 8. Our height is 7. So base times height is 8 times 7. And the area is 56. Good job. So let's do one more. I'm going to move this thing out a little bit. Let's try this. Actually, let's make it smaller. All right. So let's find the area of this one. So what would be our base? Anybody tell me?
Okay, now you can tell him.
10.
10, that's right. How do we know that? If they're giving us the units,
And height.
No. How do you know that that's the base?
Oh, the base.
This is the green.
Yes.
You tell him.
Yes.
all right, how do we know that? We know that because they've drawn a perpendicular line from the
10.
base up to the opposite side. So if we know our base is 10, we see our perpendicular line. What is our height?
Okay, tell him what the height is.
Height is 6.
6, that's correct. So what's the area? How do we get the area?
Area. 7.8. 10. 10.
You remember our formula?
Thanks, girl.
Linus, do you remember our formula that we used just a second ago?
60.
It's 60, that's right. How did we get there? Remember we multiplied base times height. So we know our base is 10, our height is 6. So base times height would be 10 times 6. And like you said, that is, well, all right, come on, technology. 60. So nice job there. All right, let's go back to our presentation. All right, our last slide here, I'm going to show you this. I'm going to post this in an exit slip on our Google Classroom. So be thinking about this, and I will post it here in a little bit once the video of our class finishes uploading. So I want you to find the area of this parallelogram and then be able to tell me how you found that. Okay? This one's a little trickier because they don't give us all of the numbers of each of the sides, but you should be able to figure that out. And remember, opposite sides of a parallelogram are the same length. Okay? The base is any side of a parallelogram that we choose, and the height is the perpendicular line that we draw from the base to the opposite side. And to find the area, we multiply our base times our height. Okay, just remember that. and work on this exit slip when it's posted. And then we'll go from there.